Hello everybody, how's it going out there? Hope everybody saw the video yesterday where I started out in pain and I used my weed. I used my medical marijuana before touching my morphines. And that's what helped my pain drop. You all saw it in my eyes. You saw my eyes. Right now, I'm in the middle of a migraine that is all encompassing. I've been that way since I woke up about 3 hours ago. I've already taken 230s, a half a Seroquel, and a Valium. Just hit my hash pipe, which you saw yesterday. That's the only reason I'm out here starting this now, is I was able to hit the hash pipe. Debbie just left for work, the doctor's. She got an emergency appointment. Something way up here on her scapula, just off the right side of her back. There's an area like this that I had to, it was all tight muscles and she couldn't breathe deep, so we don't know what the hell it is. It could be a herniated muscle. Don't know. I don't know. She does heavy lifting and stuff by herself at work, and sometimes she has to move around cryogenic. She works with cryogenics, so she's always got the liquid nitrogen, that big cylinders, and she rolls them around. She may have pulled a muscle at work. That's what I'm thinking. But she was in bad enough pain last night. She talked about, it said, if I have to go to the ER, you got to stay here. She said, I'll drive myself in, but you know, it's like $50 or so to get a taxi one way from where I am. It's $100 for a round trip to have a taxi take me in and then back home. So me driving, not being able to drive is a bitch. Well, I will if I have to, big emergencies. But Debbie was able to get in the car and drive to the doctor's, so she'll probably have some x-rays done of her back. I'm thinking it's a herniated or just a tight muscle, but it was really killing her. And I put the ant venom on first, and then I took my topical stems and soaked in alcohol. I put that on it. And then I got my cannabis salve with the beeswax, and I just rubbed that in over like 20 minutes of just rubbing that in. And she had to actually lay sleeping half upright in the lazy boy last night, and finally got up at 5 this morning, fed the cat, and then got in bed. But she's still tight. I said to treat her so she could drive. But anyway, the rest of this video is going to be discussing Chuck Rosenberg, DEA head. Yes, the idiot who said there is no such thing as medical marijuana. 29 states have legalized medical marijuana. I proved that almost 5,000 years ago, the Chinese emperor had it in the pharmacopoeia of Chinese medicine. Medical cannabis, not hemp. They used hemp as an industrial because it's thick-stemmed and you can't smoke the leaves, but you can extract the CBD. But they didn't know that then. But they used it for food and bedding. And they were healthy. They stay healthy. The Chinese live long lives, and it's their diet. Okay, they don't have gluten allergies because they don't eat the shit that we do here. In fact, the white man, when the Indians were here, the Native Americans were all alone here, they grew their maize, which is a standard brand of corn, the base corn that we've hybridized into the yellow and white ears that we see now in the grocery store. Well, Indian corn is like multicolored, you know. They used to put down a kernel of corn and a fish in the hole, and the fish would fertilize it, and they'd grow it out here in the desert. And that's what they lived off of, that corn. That was a very base thing. They didn't treat it with things. They didn't do Roundup. Monsanto I blame for allergies. And, you know, food allergies, glutens. Because they're spraying Roundup on our crops, on our food. Okay? This non-GMO shit is just outrageous. But let's stick back to marijuana. Chuck Rosenberg said there's no such thing. Why has half of the country legalized it? For medical consumption. At least. If not full-blown, as much as you want, grow what you want, recreational. Like some states. Okay? Calling medical marijuana a joke makes him a joke to me. That's why I look at him. He's a joke. And this video and yesterday's I'm going to put just on my Patriot group and tag the president there. Because that's a group with his name on it. Patriot Up for Donald Trump America. I'm going to tag his ass again with yesterday's video and today's. So I can say how ignorant his DEA chief is. Okay? He is extremely biased against cannabis. And that's why he called medical marijuana a joke. He thinks it's all about the buzz. He thinks it's all about getting freaking high. It isn't. Okay? I'm actually starting to feel a let up in my migraine because I've been hitting my vape and I just took a piece of hash. And it's easing up this migraine that had me so blind an hour ago that I couldn't have done this. I wasn't even thinking of doing a video today. But Edie said, posted something on the group talking about how Chuck Schumer, back in 2015 this was, when he called medical marijuana a joke. And he's one of the assholes that Trump kept on from the Obama administration. I'm sorry, you are assholes. You're politicians. You should be able to take it. Okay? To me, all politicians are assholes. Because idiots that sit there and let their personal feelings trump what everybody else knows as a fact. Okay? That 85% of the police force in this nation wants alcohol regulated more and marijuana let go. Leave it alone. Let it go. Quit screwing with it. And our own governor here, Doug Ducey, all the farmers wanted to get together and grow hemp. Industrial hemp. Yay, yay, yay. And I heard he shot the bill down after the House and the Senate passed it. Okay? Arizonans, every Arizonan wanted hemp industry because it can bring in jobs. Okay? Mr. President, Chuck Rosenberg, Sean Spicer, all you guys that in the federal government, you guys got to think something. Okay? You have to think about the health of the people. And starting with Obamacare, your helping the people has just gone to shit. It's gone to hell. Okay? Obamacare is an abortion. They spent more money on the website. They spent enough money on that website to give every man, woman, and child in this country $2 million. Yeah, $678 million to build a server website for Obamacare for 315 million people. That's $2 million per person that the government wasted. Plus, Obamacare is about this thick and it exempts everybody in the government in their codicil of loopholes that they put in their damn bills, and these mega omnibus bills are just the stupidest thing ever. Okay? You vote for one thing, one vote. One bill, one vote. Okay? Not 20 different things in one bill. Okay? Like hemp farming. Make a bill for hemp farming. Okay? Senators, legislators, governors, Mr. President, listen up. I'm in daily, chronic, severe, intractable pain. You can probably see it in my eyes. This is the way I've looked all morning. I haven't even started to get smoked up yet. I've got a lot more to smoke. I've got my vapes and everything. even double vapes. And I have a third battery. And I have 3 more vials of oil. So this one's almost gone. This one's pretty close. And in different flavors. They're slightly different. Some are called Flow, Dragon, Jedi Kush, a bunch of names. Just like all the strains that we see. So anyway, a High Times article that says, why is Chuck Rosenberg still here? This is from June this year, June 9th. It says, we're 6 months into the Trump administration, and most Obama-era appointees have been booted out, and very few have been replaced. We have jobs for people that nobody's appointed yet. That's not a functioning government. Okay? If you have all these jobs in the government performing functions, and they interact all in their different ways, when you take a link out of the chain breaks. Simple mathematics. If x minus 1 equals 0, x equals 1. It's a very simple freaking equation to get through your brain. Our government's not going to work until you appoint everybody that needs to be appointed. Make sure the Supreme Court's full. Make sure the FDA, Pharmaceutical, Health and Human Services, Department of Education, okay, we're turning out a bunch of children that are just made enough to pass a basic test. Okay, I remember when in 1 week every day you take 2 or 3 courses, finals, the whole 2 or 3 hours on one subject. Your language, American history, English, comp, language, whatever you took. You had to do a final on each and every one. Now they're doing everything into, just like their omnibus bills in the government, they're lumping everybody into a test frame, okay? You're sticking everybody, all these children in this frame and saying that this is what you need to learn. There's kids coming out of high school that can't make change out of $1. You tell them 85 cents. They say it's 85 cents. You hand them $1 and a nickel because you want 2 dimes back. Or you hand them $1.25 because you want something else back. However you want to do the change, you know. And even if it's like $1.63 and you give them the 3 pennies, it screws them up. I trained people in a Circle K that I was working in. I was there like 2 days and I had everything down pat. And they put me to training people. And these idiots could not function and think of numbers, let alone keep up with their jobs. They were all lazy bastards. Okay? That's all I see coming out of high schools nowadays, is a lot of lazy bastards. And it's the government's fault for not properly funding the Department of Education and the individual states and counties, because it's Pima County schools here. And then there's the individual inter-school districts. We've got Sunnyside, the South Side, all these different school districts, and Amphi High, and all this. And everybody's doing a standardized test that does nothing close to what I was facing back in the 70s. And I think I turned out pretty good for it. I came out of high school very intelligent, knowing a lot more, and I never went to classes. I used the textbooks. I read. I learned. There's people that don't know what the Magna Carta is about. There are people that don't know what the first line of the Declaration of Independence is. You know, the preamble to the Constitution. It's a very simple sentence. Most people don't know a single word that's in there. They go, freedom is in there someplace, maybe? Security? I don't know. Anyway, getting back to medical marijuana. DEA Chuck Rosenberg, 6 months he's been Trump's DEA chief for 6 months. So we don't have a director of FEMA. If we have a bad thing happen, there's nobody in FEMA. Okay? Then they have to pick somebody really quick and say, jump into this job and start doing it. And then they'll criticize him if he doesn't get it done right. You watch. That's how it'll happen. Okay? I don't know when hurricane season's coming, or is it El Nino's coming up? I don't know. But yeah, a couple months it'll be monsoons right here. Well, anyway, we've got these huge gaps in this cabinet and hundreds of jobs yet to fill. And it's extremely disappointing that the most anti-weed leftover from the Obama administration is still there. And in charge of the DEA. Anti-marijuana zealot and drug war proponent is unfortunately in a strong position to push his prohibitionist values on the budding weed industry. Under the Obama administration, Rosenberg and his team not only denied millions of people access to medical marijuana they needed, but he also pulled a fast one when the DEA amended its already bizarre classification of weed as a Schedule I narcotic by adding all extracts, including cannabidiol, the totally safe, non-psychoactive, non-addicting CBD from hemp. I'm sorry, but that's fucking stupid. Literally. I'm not saying that to anybody personally, Mr. President. It's just a stupid thing that he's saying. It's a joke. He is the joke. Chuck Rosenberg's the joke. Medical marijuana is not the joke. Just this topical ointment alone took away a pain my wife's had for 20 years on a joint. 20 years. She's always felt this pain. 12 years, I've always had this muscle sticking up 50% bigger than the other side, and this one little area that's super tender. This is the first thing that in 12 or 15 years that has put that to sleep and helped the pain go away to where I can do this. I couldn't do this before. And even if my wife walked up to me behind me and did this, I'd probably react out of pain and spin around and full martial arts stuff. I mean, I did some Tai Chi too, trying to get rid of my headache, get the blood flowing. Because I do Tai Chi every morning. But I've done my weed. I'm going to do another hash while I'm talking to you. Because trying to classify this stuff, it says, who could forget when Rosenberg called marijuana a joke? Ignorant and hurtful, especially if it's curtailing or stopping your epileptic child's seizures. Okay? Mr. Rosenberg, listen to that. That's the truth. Children. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions of children, worldwide even, not just in America, worldwide, suffer from severe, painful grand mal seizure attacks from several different kinds of epileptic disorders, brain damages and stuff. Dravet syndrome is a big one, some other stuff. And if you have seen your child locked up and foaming at the mouth, 4 or 5 years old, think about it. Think about that. 4 or 5 years old, and you're looking at your child stiff as a board, foaming at the mouth, and you can't do a damn thing. Okay? All you can do is make sure they don't start wrapping the head fast, especially if they're on the floor. Put your foot or something under their head, because they'll beat their head to death on the floor. It's serious. And cannabidiol from hemp, non-psychoactive, non-addicting hemp, sirs and ladies, Mrs. and Mrs. politicians and so forth, listen to this and think. CBD is non-psychoactive, non-addicting hemp, the industrial plant that makes soaps, lotions, and everything, wood paper, a myriad of stuff. Okay? And our governor just denied us, our farmers, the ability to plant and grow it. And what have I told you about hemp? Uses half of the water. We're in a frickin' drought here, Doug Ducey. You idiot. We're in a frickin' drought. We have been for 30 years. All since I've lived here, we have been below the water table. It's been below what it's supposed to be. We have been below by feet of rainfall missing in a year. We don't get as many monsoons as we're supposed to rebuild the aquifers. And people keep moving here and keep using up the supply. I'm lucky on my end. I'm up here, there's 6 homes in this thing on one well. But there's only 3 of us that are occupied. All the other plots are just grown over with mesquite trees. You'd have to completely raise the entire thing to get anything built in there. So we're secluded here at the end of nowhere. I've got my weed. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm actually gaining a quality of life. And to have a politician call my need for a quality of life a joke is hurtful. It is hurtful. I feel hurt. Not personally, because there's millions of us. I feel for everybody that has to suffer from idiots like this, like Mr. Rosenberg. I looked up how to tag and tweet the DEA, and they said they won't accept any tweets. So I'm going to tag the president and tell him about Rosenberg and how it's just ignorant for us to prohibit these plants, as medicines and industry together. As I've been saying in every video, hemp and cannabis industries together would be hundreds of trillions of dollars in revenue and millions of jobs added for, what is it? We got it 8 to 18, somewhere in there. I don't know. The unemployment rate in this country is outrageous. Okay? Percentage-wise, it's almost as bad as the Great Depression even. And farmers are out of work. They should be growing industrial hemp, which will put laborers together and factories together that hire more people to process hemp. Okay? Because the seed itself is a superfood. The leaves themselves are a vegetable and can be eaten in salads, and you get CBD rich, which attaches to your immune system. Your food affects your body, right? Everybody knows that. Too much butter and eggs and this and that gives you heart attacks, right? So it's all supposed to say heart attacks happen to the person because of their body and what they put into it. So I'm putting in cannabinoids. Why? Because I have researched the internet and I have learned, just like I learned all on my own in high school, I've learned enough to have 89. This is number 89 in my video series on marijuana. 2 of them were on kratom, but all the rest has been marijuana or hemp. Mostly marijuana. Why? It's healing. Cannabinoids. Watch my videos. I just did 5 in a row on THC, CBD, CBG, CBC, and what was the other one? CBN, cannabinol. Just everything that those do. And I showed you a picture off Pinterest here. It's in my gallery. That's I showed you yesterday. Not in that file, you dumbass. It was this one, still right here at the top. Okay, these are 12 different cannabinoids. Simple hydrocarbons. The simplest things you could ever have. They're safer than aspirin. They're safer than gluten. Okay? These are the safest substances we could be putting in our bodies. Just look at this is CBD and this is Delta 9 THC. Look at all those things they do. And listen. Analgesic, anti-diabetic, anticonvulsant, antiemetic, anti-epileptic, anti-inflammatory, anti-ischemic, microbial, neoplastic, proliferative, psoriatic, psychotic, spasmodic, anxiolytic, bone stimulant, immunosuppressive, intestinal, antiprokinetic, neuroprotective, and vasodilation. CBD from hemp alone. What I just bought 2 more drops of the oil drops, the orange oil, because that's what I'm taking now. I went after the hepatitis with the Rick Simpson and the higher hemp oil, the 900 milligram full spectrum of Tracy's. But now I'm down to taking the chaga mushroom in my coffee twice a day, because it's cheap and it's I don't know, it adds to and it does things on your immune system also. And all that's just from hemp CBD, of which is the highest percentage is in the hemp plant. Those leaves can be harvested off for CBD-rich medicines that do all this. Okay? They do all those functions. Just that one little cannabinoid, one hydrocarbon that goes everywhere throughout your body on both the CB1 and CB2 receptors. This is scientific facts that cannot be denied. And all of these functions of these cannabinoids are true and scientifically proven. I gotta do some hash, I heard it. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting down in the pain relief. I couldn't drop below a 6 last night because I self-induced myself into a flare for the video yesterday. And since it's continuing today, Debbie's out, gone off to work, or got doctors, and it makes me cough. But I still enjoy smoking it, even though I've had that tickle all my life. Even when I first started smoking cigarettes, it always tickled my throat and I always coughed. So, don't put anything into it. And don't blame it on the cigarettes I'm smoking now either. Of course, my emphysema, I probably do blame my cigarettes. But I bet I'm curing myself of emphysema right now by smoking. Especially the vapes. And I've been using a lot more of the vapes since I was diagnosed with the emphysema. I do not feel it. I don't feel any heaviness in my lungs anymore. I used to have to puff. I had chronic bronchitis and asthma. I do not anymore. Why? Cannabis. It cleans the lungs, people. Just the actions for what it does to the brain. CBD. When a child goes into a super seizure, you can get to their gums because they'll be locked up, okay? But you get into their gums and you put a drop of CBD oil in there. Within a minute, 60 seconds or less, they calm down. And the body relaxes. And they come out of it in pain. Because the seizure locks up every muscle, joint, and your body has to recover from that. Now add that to growing pains on top of that pain. Kids are in pain from these seizure disorders. It is not all about the head. When you have a grand mal attack, you come out of it hurting bad, like people have beaten you with baseball bats and tried to bend your joints the wrong way. I've known some epileptics. I've heard the stories from the mouths of those who do and know, because it's in them. Okay? This one guy got diagnosed with epilepsy while he was in the service. He was having petite malls, but we didn't notice it. We thought he was daydreaming, and he'd just be sitting there staring off into space, and we're talking to him and he's not responding. And then somebody would touch him and he'd be, "Hey, what's up?" "Dude, we've been talking to you for 10 minutes. And he made up excuses. But when he started to have grand mal seizures, he could not deny it. I was a medic. I told him, I said, "Dude, you've got epilepsy. You just came out of a fit. I've seen you this fit right here in front of me." He goes, "And I hurt. Everything hurts." He says, "What were you doing to me?" I said, "Nothing. You were just laying there locked up." I says, "And by the way, the top of my foot is bruised where your head was banging it, because I had to put my foot under his head. He was on a hard tile floor." Okay? Your skull and a hard floor don't... Something's got to give, and it's usually this. Okay, so you got to get you put your foot under the head of an epileptic, because if they start wrapping their head, they could really damage their brain even more than it is already. Because epilepsy can be just one little tiny thing, one little misfiring synapse in one little area of the brain. And it can just shut down the whole body. Cannabinoids, CBD, cannabidiol, from hemp or cannabis. But if it's a high CBD, it helps stop and prevent seizures. It may prevent grand malls. They might still have some petite malls. But let me tell you, a petite mall is safe, as long as they're not driving. Epileptics should not drive, because flashing lights. Some epileptics, a light that flashes 3 times a second triggers them. They go, and they'll start basic, and then they'll go into the tonic-clonic contractions, and that hurts people. CBD analgesic, right at the top, not just alphabetical. It does. It's a pain reliever. I'm using the hemp oil. It has helped add to my pain relief with the cannabis and the morphine and Seroquel, amitriptyline. They help. I don't get high. I cough. You can't call me a stoner, okay? A stoner is a guy that sits in a car and just fills it up with smoke, called hotboxing. So every breath you take, you're just breathing more weed. I did that in my youth. I think that contributed to my asthma and chronic bronchitis that I had from 18 to 50. 56. I'm 56. I've been 4 years without an inhaler. 4 years. No inhaler. I'm still smoking these, and I'm smoking this, and this, and this, and this, and I have a dragon pipe, and I have a dragon bong. I've never smoked in the dragon bong. It's too pretty. I'll show you someday. And then I've got a dry pipe. This is a wet bong, a bubbler, and then I got a dry bong. I haven't used it in a while. I don't see if it's still got clogged up. But now, let me just go over this. Okay, this is Mr. President, legislature, state, misters, messers, and misses. Don't mind me. The Delta 9 THC. Analgesic, pain relief, antidepressant. Yes, I wouldn't be smiling without it right now. Even my morphine didn't bring a smile to my face. I got no pleasure from it. All I got was pain relief, and it was from 10 to 7, 8. That's all the morphine took me to. Cannabis and hemp oil have brought me to a 4 or 5. Mr. President and everybody, a 4 or 5. Considered distressing and very distressing. Okay? And I told you, my migraine had me like fractured. I wanted to just beat my skull on the cement until it split. Because it just frickin' hurt. I took the first hit of hash before I went outside and started this video. And I have since then, I think, perked up since I started the video. And my eyes were almost closed. I was in so much pain. That migraine had me up in the 9, almost 10 region since I woke up this morning. And it's now 9:30. I woke up at 5:15. Right after Debbie got out of the chair, fed the cat, went to bed, I couldn't get back to sleep. I was in the flare. I laid here for almost an hour, sweating profusely under my little blanket. I got my little microfiber blanket. It's actually cool. But I was under it, shivering to death because the AC was freezing me, but my flare had me sweating profusely, which in turn added to the freezing because of the sweat cooling on my body. That's how I woke up this morning. The very first thing I dropped was a 30 milligram immediate release morphine. Normally I take a 60 time release at the same time. However, Walgreens and their idiocy has held my script up, and Debbie's picking my new scripts up at the doctor's office because Walgreens said, well, this is over 90 days. And this, think about this, Walgreens, on March 1st, Debbie went in with my script that said March 1st for my morphines. Walgreens said no. She goes, why? Well, February has 29 days, but this year it only had 28. So I get docked a day? What about all the months with 31 days? I don't get 31 frickin' pills. Walgreens, you frickin' idiots, and MedImpact with United Healthcare. You guys should hear this. I might tag you. Okay? Think of this. This is stupid. Now I have to get a prior authorization letter every 3 frickin' months for my morphines. And I have to, because my doctor has to verify that I am in this much pain and I can't work or anything else. And in fact, I just got my second letter from the Social Security Administration that I have to fill out saying why or if I'm still if I'm still disabled, is basically they said. In fact, they said if I don't return the form promptly, they could inflict a stop in my payments that I'd have to fight back. I fought with a lawyer by myself first, declined, and I had to get a lawyer to get my Social Security. I don't want to have to do that again. So Debbie just mailed it out because I got it Friday. But they wanted to know if I was still disabled, and I said, you should be asking my doctor. He'll tell you. Okay? Just my prescription should tell you right there what I am in. Okay? Because I'm talking to you here right now on morphine, weed, Seroquel, and Valium. All together. And I may be going every place because I'm a little manic, but my pain's free. Where am I down? I'm down to 5 about. I'm about 5 right now, except for the headache. Just right here in the frontal lobe is where it is. But I'm about down to a 5. Called very distressing. Strong, deep piercing, such as a sprained ankle when you stand on it wrong, or mild back pain. Not only do you notice the pain all the time, you are now so preoccupied with managing it that your normal lifestyle is curtailed. Temporary personality disorders are frequent. And yes, I have times where I get a little manic, You know, like I'm not bipolar, but the pain affects me, and it affects my emotions. Everybody that has pain, it affects your emotions. You can't deny it. It's a fact. It's a biological fact. It triggers going off in our body, and it happens to everybody. There's a few people it doesn't. That's recessive gene traits that are. Did you know blue eyes? Everybody with blue eyes in the world is related to one man who had a genetic anomaly. It's a fact. Every blue-eyed person in the world is related. All down to that one man with the recessive trait. I'm colorblind. My mom wasn't, but her dad was. Dad gives it to mom. Her granddad gave it to mom. Mom gave it to me. She carried it, but she didn't have it. Me, I have trouble seeing reds and greens. And my parents still picked on me for years about it. You know, oh, Rick can't see that. And I'm like, yes, I can, because I've trained myself to look for shapes in the colors. So when you throw a bunch of reds together, I'll pick the shapes out. I won't see the color difference. I see the shape. So I gave it to my daughter. Well, she's got 2 sons. One of them is going to be red-green colorblind. Maybe both, because that's how it passes. I'm the granddad. Just like my granddad gave it to me through mom, I'm granddad through mom, my daughter, to my grandsons. So one or both of them is definitely going to be having trouble with red-green colorblind. If you ever remember that book test with the colored dots, I could do 2 pages, number 1, number 2. After that, because it was simple, it was yellow and purple. And the other one was dark green and a very light green. Everything else, I couldn't see a freaking thing. I couldn't pick out shapes or nothing. I said, I can't see anything. Nothing. 21 pages. I only see 2. That's colorblind, red-green colorblind. A full colorblind wouldn't see the first 2 pages either. And we had one of those in the service, that he wore blue glasses that were prescription, and the blue helped him see the colors. Just thought that was a little interesting thing as I'm going through my pain here. So let's get back down to, let me go back to this High Times article. Hi, James, I'll talk to you later. We stopped at the epileptic childs, and that's why I went off. I'm sorry. The question now is, how can we have an intelligent conversation when the head of a governmental agent hasn't taken the time to analyze the numerous authoritative reports on medical marijuana? The denial of science and willful ignorance seems to be the hallmarks of the Trump administration. Let me get him off the screen really quick. And I voted for you, Mr. Trump, President. Okay? Because we had a choice of Hillary or you. I picked you. I'll stand behind you. I'll stand behind my vote. But I'm doing these videos and I'm tagging the president for a reason. And I want him to hear it from the lips of a person who is going through PTSD and knows what the vets coming home need. They need free weed from the VA, grown by the government. Do that for your troops. It costs pennies in comparison to sending them to war. You send one soldier to war, including his training, it's millions of dollars. Because of the ordnance he uses up, the clothes he uses, the food he eats, everything is costing money to keep this person in a war zone where they are coming home fucked up in the head with PTSD because they live in a country where you never know when somebody's going to go, Allah Akbar. You don't know. Okay? So some of our vets are coming home in fear of their own minds. That's what PTSD is. Fear of being in your own mind. Fear of being alone. Fortunately, my brain can get by the PTSD without chemicals. The weed does help, but I've got that kind of brain. That's the way I think. Let's get back to this stuff. Such attitudes are threatening to hobble the forward motion of medical marijuana, as well as undermine the common knowledge that recreational weed is not dangerous to anyone's health. And here I go again on health. Deaths. Vioxx. 1 year, approved by the FDA, killed 60,000 people. 60,000 deaths. Nobody got arrested. The FDA pulled it when they approved it. I've talked about that hypocrisy. Every drug the FDA has pulled off the market, they originally told us was safe to use. Same as Monsanto. If they're spraying on the crops something that we can eat, why are they dressed up like spacemen? So they're not exposed to these chemicals they're spraying on our foodstuffs. Okay? Cannabis helps us get through that shit too. Okay? If you got gluten problems, cannabis will help. Why? Because it's in your immune system. The immune system of the human body is covered in millions of CB2 receptors. Millions upon millions, just like our DNA. Because it's down there at the basic subcellular level. The cannabinoids attach to those receptors in our bodies and they do good. But everybody out there had one thought in their brain. It gets you high. It's dope. It makes you stupid. That's my answer to the anti-weed Nazis and their bullshit propaganda. I'm not one of the stoners, super stoners. I was as a child. From 8 to 18, I even told the army. I was honest. I said I used weed. I tripped once. I used a little coke and some speed. They still let me in because they needed people. So I went into the infantry. I told my doctor about all this. And coke after I got out of the army. I got busted for. I always tell you the truth. Scout's honor, whatever. I'll tell you the truth about me. So my doctor knows. He knew. He saw my pain. He saw me in 10-10 pain. That's why I'm taking 240 milligrams of morphine daily. 350 to 375 milligrams of Seroquel, also known as quetiapine, and 10 milligram Valium, and 50 milligrams of amitriptyline to help me sleep. On top of that, I'm taking the weed and hemp oil, my topicals. And I feel better. I was living 7 to 10 constantly for the first 3 years of going through doctors, crying, literally crying, uncontrollable tears. That's how bad I hurt. I've never hurt like that in my life. And I hit the trees at 40 miles an hour in a high wind jump. And both of my shoulders got dislocated and turned around. I broke 6 ribs, 3 ribs, okay? Whiplashed my neck, fractured my skull, threw my helmet, because I hit trees, the high North Carolina pine trees. I hit them at 40 miles an hour, trying to get down on the ground. Get down, get down. Boom, I hit the trees. I was 30 feet up in the air. They used a cherry picker. They picked a whole bunch of people out of the trees. This was in the early 80s, Fort Bragg. A few people remember that. But they had to come up with a cherry picker, and 2 people had to help pull me out and carry me down and cut all my gear off me because I couldn't get, my shoulders were ripped and totally turned around. This one was turned around this way, this one was turned around this way, and they were both out of joint. And my hands were facing this way instead of this way. And all my ribs. I've never hurt like that before. When I went to the doctors, I'm saying. Even then, in that jump, I did not hurt as bad as I did sitting in the doctor's office. That's why I was crying big old crocodile tears. Okay? Because of the pain and the triggers, the PTSD triggers. Because I couldn't think past the PTSD with the pain too. As long as I'm trying to concentrate on the pain, the triggers would hit my PTSD more, making the problem worse. Sorry, I'm shaking. It's the arthritis. My hands really hurt. I'm using too much. It just comes down to nobody's ever died. In 10,000 years of known use of hemp and at least 5,000 years, 6,500 known years of Chinese medicinal use. And we're sitting here told it's a Schedule I narcotic. Nobody ever gets close to morphine or heroin buzz with cannabis. You can't. You cannot. You cannot smoke enough. Your brain shuts down. Literally. Why? Because these switches are automatic and they work on everybody. It's called the endocannabinoid system, people. These receptors throughout our bodies are ready-made to take in the hydrocarbons that start out as tetrahydrocannabinolic acid, THCA, breaks down to THC, delta 8 and delta 9, delta 8 cleans the brain cells, delta 9 makes you high, it kills the pain, and does all that other stuff too. Bone stimulant growth, okay? Just think, people. And nobody's ever died from this. Antiquated ideas espoused by people who should know better, like Rosenberg holds degrees from Tufts, Harvard, and a Juris Doctorate from the University of Virginia, makes one wonder what their motives are. Why so many closed minds? There's a good question for the day. Why are you people closing your minds? Why are you anti-weed Nazis over here, okay, spouting off propaganda and lies? Okay? They made it look like there was going to be vending machines for pot candy in the high schools. They made it look that way. And they were talking about Colorado, and Colorado told them to shut the fuck up and quit talking shit that wasn't true about Colorado. That's why Prop 205 got shot down here last year. Friggin' anti-weed Nazis in there. Ignorant propaganda swayed the votes, hit the sway votes. Hit the people in the middle that don't know anything yet. Which is what I'm hoping to get to. The normal everyday man, too. I'm hoping we'll look at this and say, oh, geez. I thought potheads were potheads and you're nothing but a stoned out hippie. No. It's not about dancing around in Woodstock with your wiener flapping out, okay, and painting your body and taking acid. It's not all that. At Woodstock alone in 1969, 600,000 people, over 500,000 people, 85 to 95% of which smoked marijuana. Not one single violent act. Not one. None. But it was all about, oh, these long-haired freaking hippies that just stink up the place because they don't wash. I'm sorry, but there's a lot of civilized people out there that if I had the choice between living with them or living in a hippie commune, I would choose the commune every freaking day. Because that's where you're respected as an equal. If everybody would sit down and just smoke a joint once, you would find this out. You would become one of the equal. And it's not about getting high. Smoke a sativa, get uplifted, paint pictures, write poetry, write music. All these musicians out there playing very complicated pieces of music, and they're up on the stage high. Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page, played excellent freaking guitar, chugging off a bottle of Jack Daniels. I'm sorry, but after 5 shots of Jack, I can't play my guitar. And this guy's boom, putting it down. That's talent. You know, the natural innate talent. Plus he wrote it, so it's naturally in his head. That's what makes it so much easier for other people, for bands to play their songs. And you go, wow, I think I can play that. And you find out it's very, very, very difficult. And you wonder how in the hell they do it and sing at the same time. Or like my buddy Geddy Lee, keyboards, bass with his feet, and singing. Then he got the bass here and keyboards on foot pedals. And then he plays a double neck with a 4-string bass and a 12-string guitar. For certain songs they did back in the 70s. Xanadu, excellent song. Rush, Xanadu, not Olivia Newton-John. Let's get that right. Billy Bluebird says it's almost an hour. So what have I done? I've gone off everywhere. But I started out in extreme pain. I was up in the 9 range this morning, all this morning until Debbie left, and I started smoking because I didn't want her to smell like smoke and get pulled over. She'll get hassled, even though the cops will search her, and she'll miss her appointment, and she'll be hassled, and she might get a ticket. I don't know. So I don't smoke before she leaves. Even if I've been up 2 hours, I'll smoke outside early in the morning. I go out the door easily because it creaks, and the dog will go muff when she hears me moving around out here. But Deb sleeps through that. But I sneak outside to smoke my weed, so she doesn't smell like it going to work or right now, just on the road. That's why it's a leased car, so I don't even vape. And it actually makes her nauseous sometimes. So I take cigarettes and vapes with me when I hit the road with her, but I'm always outside of the car. I got hand sanitizer and breath spray, so she doesn't smell the soap, cigarettes, or the weed. Because I vape in public, and it's safe. 94% of the vapor of the THC stays in my lungs and does its function on my body. CB1, THC, and CB1 receptors is what THC works on. Everything else works on the CB1 and CB2s. But THC, they're figuring there's another delta out there, either a 7 or a 10, or a 12, I think, that's surmised. But it's just like E equals MC squared. It took 40 years before they proved that theory. He just came up with it. Boom. Einstein just popped up with this. Energy is mass, blah, blah, blah. But it couldn't be proved until he was almost dead. So people, think about that. People like Einstein, people like Edison, people like Morse, created the Morse code that was originally the cross-country wiring, was all Morse before voice. Okay? Think about that. Politicians, state legislatures, people in positions of power that see this video as if it's been shared to you by a constituent. They did that for a reason. And I'm telling you right now that medical marijuana is a boon to the health of mankind and the planet. This planet is being raped. I've told you before, 65,000 acres of trees daily disappearing just so we can wipe our asses. Think about that the next time you're wiping your butt. How many trees go into that a day? Think. Okay. The facts of the matter is, hold on, I gotta pause this. Just make sure the screensaver doesn't see you. There we are, back. I just want to make sure the screensaver doesn't kick off, because sometimes after an hour it screws up and I have to reshoot a whole video. So, I'm going to end this quickly before it does shut down. But, President Trump, you've got the worst person in there to run the DEA. You need somebody with medical or scientific background and an impartial view. I am partial. Impartial. Okay? There's too much one-sidedness in government now. And it seems like everything goes to Democratic House or a Republican House. With a Republican president or a Democratic president. Whoever. Okay? It shouldn't be that way. There should be more bipartisanship. Putting heads together and thinking. And listening to scientists and doctors. There's so many doctors across this country that are afraid to speak out for marijuana because they have ignorant people in governmental levels in the state. Like our governor, Doug Ducey. I'm sorry, Doug, I'm not going to let go of that. Hemp farming would have given Arizona billions of dollars. With less water usage, no pesticides. Okay? That tells me you're in the pocket of the cotton industry, the water people, no, because they don't pay for their water. Cotton fields out here do not pay for their water, and they use 50% more. They use twice as much water as hemp does. I've driven down here, we're talking 110 degree heat, and this huge pipe of all this water coming out and flooding these fields for cotton, and most of it is evaporating into the air, because we're in a frickin' desert, all to grow this poisonous crop to make our clothes, which are full of chemicals. Don't ever wear clothes right off the shelf. Try it on, yeah. Don't wear it for a prolonged time, because there's formaldehyde in them, and other stuff to keep them from being moth-eaten during shipment and storage. There are so many dangers out there in our food, in our clothes, in our bodies. And one cure. The cannabis hemp family. Okay? It's all the Cannabaceae family. Hemp and cannabis. Non-psychoactive, psychoactive. They're a family. And they give us hydrocarbons. Their methanol or ethanol biodiesel emits oxygen instead of pollutants. Which any biodiesel that's being made now out of corn ethanol, because they can't make corn methanol, you can make two different biodiesels off of hemp. Only one from corn, and it pollutes. It is not safer than gas. Think, people. Mr. President, you've got a lot on your plate. I understand that. But take a second to think about the health of mankind, the health of your constituents, the health of the people that are going to put you back in the White House in 4 years if you do your job right. And I'm begging you to please do it right. I've seen some questionable things lately, and it's really pissed my wife off. We're in different camps there. She wouldn't have voted for Hillary. She wanted Sanders. We both wanted Sanders. Sorry, Don. But I went to Trump. Because Bernie got screwed by the DNC. But let me close this out anyway. It all comes down to hemp curing the raping of this world. Uses less water. It's 4 times to 8 times better than wood and cotton. and it emits more oxygen per plant. But we cut trees down and they take decades to come back to where they can put out as much oxygen. And it takes 4 acres of trees to equal 1 acre of hemp in oxygen production. Are we hearing anything? Are we hearing some sense? Is anything getting through, getting pounded in? Okay? Get the roof tiles nailed down before the storm rips the roof off. Okay? Because that's what it's going to be like. They're talking a little down home. I came out of North Carolina talking like I'm a North Carolinian. My first year here, everybody was like, well, where are you from? New York. And they go, why are you talking like you're from North Carolina? Because I was in North Carolina in between New York and here. Anyway. So. The DEA calling medical marijuana a joke is in itself a joke. Period. Migraine's coming back. I gotta do some smoking. I don't want to choke on air. It's already been an hour. Let me get off here. But I'm just saying to the president and the DEA chief, Mr. Rosenberg, think. Listen to some scientists, listen to some doctors, and listen to some facts. There's 88 videos preceding this one that all talk about marijuana. And everything I find is fact. Okay? Christians against drugs, they make up shit. They said dabs are sweeping the country, killing teenagers because they injected it in the eyes. What the hell? A dab is a concentrated resin that you smoke. The only thing with dabs is that it hits you harder, gets you high faster than even hash, and you need a special rig with a hot butane torch to use it. Okay? I'm not going to go to that expense. I'm doing just fine with what I got. The hash hits me good. I don't need hit dabs. I've tried the oil. I'm still using one because that's how long I've had it. I've had it for 6 months. It's 1/2 gram of oil because I don't use it that much because I don't smoke as many blunts. I've been smoking a lot of pipe and bong, and vapes. So, hi Pena. Hi baby. Say hi to everybody. Hi. She's a sweetheart. 14 to 16 years old. Smart. She's trained us. And she's very energetic. Whirling dervish. Woo, 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 woo. Likes to play with the cat sometimes. Anyway, so I was talking to Mr. President. Get the DEA chief on where... Get a DEA chief that knows drugs, understands the science behind drugs, and the science of what they do to people. Because then you will see that medical marijuana is the safest substance our bodies could take in. Safer than aspirin. Because aspirins are blood thinners that can actually damage your vessel walls and cause aneurysms and bleed outs and strokes. Think. Cannabis doesn't do that. Hemp doesn't do that. These plants are made. We're made. We came after these plants. These plants have been here millions of years. And they have adapted to vertebrates, or vertebrates have adapted to the plant. We all have an endocannabinoid system, and I know why. Because our ancestors all used this crop. Because it was there, and when they took it and chewed it and said, wow, it's a good vegetable, they put it in their diet. They had short lifespans. Cro-Magnon man lived 28 to 32 years and died of old age. Okay? As we've gained along the millennia, we've gained 8 years for our lives, to where the average age is now 80 to 100. Well, as I keep saying, it's all about the hydrocarbon profile of cannabis and cannabinoids. They're made for our bodies. We're made for this plant. We're made to use this plant because everything its plant does works positively on our systems because it's the endocannabinoid system. And clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. That's going to be my next video. Oh, that's not the right one. My next video will be about that. So, peace out, everybody. Love, truth, and happiness. Free marijuana from the prison of ignorance. And let's get a DEA that thinks. Okay? We need some smarts, not feelings, in the government. Feelings should not come in the government. You should be impartial. That's why I'm impartial. I voted Republican this time instead of my regular Democrat. Okay? Because I was impartial. I had a choice of 2 candidates, and I went for the best one. And that's it. So, Mr. Trump, help us. We need marijuana. Clinical endocannabinoid deficiency is going to be the topic tomorrow or the next day. Depends on how I feel. Like I said, I'm still flaring. I've still got the migraine right here, but I'm down to 7 pain here. And my body, after those few hits of hash, is down to almost a 4 or 5. Yay! Thank you. Thank you, Jesus! I don't believe. Sorry. I'm just funning around. But I'm going to talk about clinical endocannabinoid deficiency next. Because that is proof. Proof positive. And scientific research and facts have shown that we do have a deficiency of this when we're sick. And all these things that it does, all those long lists of the Delta-9 and the CBD, what those things do, just think. And they do this safer than pharmaceuticals. Why? Because it's a natural plant. And we've lived off natural plants all of our lives. Wheat and cotton were natural plants. We've hybridized them into GMOs. Listen, I avoid that story. I keep wanting to get off on that tack, but I don't want to. I'm just going to do my next one about the clinical endocannabinoid deficiency because that's why I was in pain. I'd stopped smoking for years. And when my body started breaking down, I was in a lot of pain. I have cured it, and I have gotten it down with hemp and cannabis, with the help of morphine. But that's just because I'm very, very, very deep in the pain pool. Okay? I'm up to here. You know, I gotta be like this to breathe in the pool. That's it. I'm stuck there. Every once in a while I can get down to here. That's a 4 or 5 is when I get my head above water. Okay? The rest of the time I feel like I'm ready to drown. That's pain. And until you've felt it, you can't rate it. And when I give you a number, you better damn sure believe that's the number that I feel. When I say I'm a 4 or 5, distressing and very distressing, you damn tootin'. That's why I can't drive also. Not just because I'm on the morphine, but because I have pain attacks where I go blind. My vision goes, you've seen it when your vision starts to go tunnel. It gets dark and cloudy around the edges. That's what happens when I go into a 10 flare. Okay, and I don't want to do that at the wheel. I've had 1 blackout at the wheel, sober, on psych meds. Never on booze. I did do a drunk driving. Honest. I said I'll be honest. But I don't drink anymore. My doctor trusts me, and he believes me. That's why he keeps me on the morphine. because he knows I need it, and he knows I need it for life. Social Security Administration, they send me these regular letters, and I have to keep verifying that, yes, I am that bad. Chronic pain and PTSD are the basics. That's all that is on my SSDI. I don't have all my other diseases in there. That was too much paperwork. We have to keep it as simple. So the doctor and my lawyer said we keep it down to chronic pain and PTSD. And that's how I got my Social Security, with the help of a lawyer. But I have more than that. I have fibro. I have osteoarthritis. I have psoriatic. This could be psoriatic arthritis, because it's some of the worst joints. Some of these worst joints on me. My wife, hold on. Pause. Okay. Okay, baby. Drive safe. Love you. Bye. Mwah. That was the wife. She's going in for surgery, or not. X-rays. Stat. The doctor's not sure what it is, but last night she cooked with garlic. Very heavy garlic. And with my pain, the smell of it nauseated the shit out of me. I mean, all I could do here was lay here last night in 7 to 8 pain, with the stink of garlic. And we turned on both of the humidifiers, and Debbie said she started smelling ozone. And the doctor said, oh, it makes him think of something. And she's not sure what he thought of, but he wants to see the x-ray to be sure. Because she might have gotten something in her lungs, and this ozone smell from both air filters working. Because they're sitting right next to each other. We bought a new one and haven't used the old one. But last night with the garlic, we turned on both. So we have to see if that was the ozone smell. I didn't smell it, but she did. All I smelled was garlic. And I was in such pain, I didn't care. She said she smelled the ozone, and the doctor might think it's something. I don't know what. We'll find out. So in the meantime, coconut pineapple soda water. Make your own. Good stuff. So let's get down to getting a DEA chief that isn't an anti-weed Nazi. Okay? The anti-weed Nazis do not belong in public office. Not in control of medications. This is not a drug. This is not a drug, folks. This is a healing of the mind and the body, and it gives you a positive vibe, and if you can see auras, it'll make yours bright and beautiful. You don't have to be a hippie. You don't have to be a stoner. Okay? You just have to try it. Give it a shot. I'll sit down and smoke one with anybody. President Trump, you want to sit down and smoke a joint? Send your plane for me, or come on out here. Come on out. We'll sit down and we'll smoke one. And let you see what healing is. It's not about getting high. It's about healing the body. The endocannabinoid system. And the endocannabinoid deficiency that I'm going to be talking about in the next video, number 90, is going to be clinical endocannabinoid deficiency. And we'll talk about what it is that we need in our bodies. Cannabinoids, that's what we need. They're the basic elements, hydrocarbons, just like us. You cannot deny scientific evidence and fact. People have been denying evolution until the last 50 years when we proved DNA molecule and subatomic particles. We built the super collider in CERN, and we've learned that there's a lot more shit that, in my estimation, there can't be a God. He's got to be a physicist, astrophysicist, astronomer, psychologist, everything all wrapped up into one. To be able to build a DNA molecule out of 4 elements: adenine, cytosine, guanine, and tyrosine. That's what makes up the DNA chain. That and amino acids. Cannabinoids are basic hydrocarbons. They're basic acids that hit our system, turn into the hydrocarbons, and do good on our systems. The CB1 and CB2 receptors that are mostly affected in our bodies have nothing to do with the THC and psychoactivity. 95% of the activity from cannabis is the other cannabinoids. The high is just a reward. And it's pain relief for folks in my condition, with my numbers of conditions. Okay? So, my next video will be about the deficiency syndrome. I'm going to look into that, and it might take me a day to study, tonight and tomorrow. And I'll shoot the video Thursday. Is today Tuesday? Yeah. When Deb's home, I get lost. So that's it. Medical marijuana is not a joke. Cannabis is not a joke. Industrial hemp is not a joke. Mr. Rosenberg, you are the joke. I'm sorry. I call a spade a spade. Okay? You're a joke. You do not belong in a position of authority over the health of the people, because that's what you do when you interdict medical marijuana. You're interfering with the health of your constituents, the people that are paying your salary. Okay? Think about that. We, the taxpayers, I've paid my fair share. Now I'm taking mine back. Okay? But I'm actually spending somebody else's money. My parents spent my Social Security already. That's how deep the Social Security is in the hole. Because people started living longer and working longer, and all of a sudden it spent more money was coming out. So my parents were spending my Social Security money. Now I'm spending my grandchildren's Social Security money. It's all because it stonewalls, it waterfalls, and it's like a tidal wave that just keeps coming. With nothing to stop it. It just keeps going. And we got to stop it. We got to stop and we got to think. And the endocannabinoid deficiency, I hope, will make you think more seriously. Because this isn't a serious thing I'm talking about. Yes, I can have fun with it. I can get a good feeling. I can laugh. But I'm in such an intense, chronic, intractable pain that you would not be able to do what I'm doing right now. You would be laying down with an ice pack on your head, asking for morphine. I bet you everything. I bet my life on it. You can't handle half of what I've gone through in my life. You can't spend a day in my shoes and come out unscathed. That's facts, Jack. Peace out, love, truth, and happiness. Free medical marijuana from the prison of ignorance. Thank you.